start recording. Welcome to this session. And I'm very happy that we are a consistent bunch of people who are coming back into these sessions. I think it will lead to some teamwork fostering amongst all of us. Okay. As I mentioned earlier, that career guidance has for long been something I had wanted to do. But I have found it, till we developed this career graph tool, we found it to be very haphazard. So the different counselors could come to different conclusions. And the idea was, can we standardize the conclusions on the basis of some theories? Okay. So with this, and maybe now I feel more confident about my career guidance sessions because there is some measurements already done which help me to conclude and to further explain things to people, right? Here are two examples that I put up in the Google Drive. I hope each one of you has had the opportunity to look at both these examples. If not, I will request you to just go there and look at both these examples once.
I've taken a look at it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm also just checking the first document.
Yes.
Stephen, right? The
Yes.
student name. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
just having a look at that.
So this Stephen comes from a decidedly, he's a boy from Bombay, and his parents are both educated, both working, and they have given their child the full freedom to decide. Okay. This is his background. He comes from a upper middle class background. One child, parents are very supportive of his career, and but both of them are actually bank employees. So they are very specific in their understanding of what they do, and therefore they have come across and wanted to check what is it that their child should pursue, because the child has shown some variable interest. They all of them understand that this child is geared towards sciences, but the parents obviously felt that it is better to take engineering pure play, while the child was dabbling between creating floor plans in architecture and the like. Okay, so there was some development of some building around the corner. So he went and started helping out there, etc. So the parents feel that they don't know. So they have actually helped him fill up the forms for JEE engineering entrance, but they don't know if he should be trying a few other entrance exams. Okay, so this is the reason why they have reached out looking at career guidance to help them resolve this, that what is it that they should enable the child to undertake. So I will just share my screen. Hi to everyone who's come in a bit late. We are going with sample one just now. So the first thing that I do whenever I start a career guidance is I try and ask the parents their view. Okay. So one thing I ask is, or the child himself or herself, one is, have you read the report yourself? Okay. If they have not, I request them to spend 10 minutes reading the report, because it's just helps everyone come on the same page. The second thing I do is I ask them for their views. After they read the report, I say, what is it? What is it that seems to be coming to your mind? So when I asked Stephen and his parents this, they said that, see, the report seems to be aligned to what we think will happen. But, all of us, like the child and the two parents, are not able to come to the same conclusions. Okay, so what is it that the report is saying? The report was saying this child will do well in computer engineering, technical education, and architecture. So this is what the outcome streams are coming out. And the type of places where industries where he would do well is coming out to be government, administration, hospitality and tourism, technology, art, communication, and engineering. Okay. So what are your thoughts? So then they come out and they start telling that, this is what's happening actually. The child is saying that he wants to also look, because that architecture was a eye-popping thing for them. So the parents were like, he says it in his vacations, he did some work with a neighbor and all that stuff also, but we don't know if it is worth it. We don't know if architecture is worth pursuing in the as a career. Isn't it better he goes for something more generic like engineering for now? Okay. So then we said, okay, fine. Let's start with understanding the child better. Please give me feedback. Do you agree with the outcomes of the report? Do you want to add anything at any point? Or if you agree, we will go ahead. So they said, okay, yes. It's a process which includes both of us to be talking about. So then we said that job security, this child is you can see over here, positive thinking, charismatic, fearless, independent. Yes, yes, this is true. Good humored, likable, very true. This child feels that job security is key. Yes, is very devoted to his career. So he really is keen to pursue a career, very serious. It's not that he's singing, dancing, etc., or hanging out with friends. Yes, even when there was vacations after 10th, he actually helped the neighbor, as I said, do that particular construction thing. But it wasn't that he wasted his time. So that way, he's a very good boy. And that were the comments of the parents. Okay, great. So, what motivates this child the most? So, what comes out very clearly is that he wants to do things which allow for certain amount of creativity as well as independence. Okay, yes, that is true. He doesn't want to listen to anyone. He wants to individually contribute. At that 10th class के बाद की छुट्टी में, who helps, say, an architect or anyone trying to build a floor plan? Okay, it's all. Okay. But he's also very clear about that he wants power and wealth, in which the child chimed in, yes, I want to work, but I really want to live a good life. I want to own cars. I want to have multiple houses. I want to go for vacations. Okay, great. So wealth creation and power is very important. And you want to do something which involves your personal excellence. You're not maybe only looking at managing people. You really want to work in some skill yourself. Yes, that is true. I want to. So then I said, okay, great. By this time, the parents and the child started saying, okay, great, yes, this seems aligned. Then came this shocker for them. Or for me, it was a shocker because the child had spoken to me and he speaks very good English. See, they are, as the name also tells, they're a Christian family, and English is their first language in the house. So the child was speaking very good English. So I was a bit surprised when his communication score came so low. So then at this point, I said that, he doesn't want to interact with other people, when he speaks, he doesn't come across as being confident in speech and ideas. So his mother came in. She's like, yes, that's very true. We keep telling him, go meet other people, talk to relatives, talk to people. And this boy was like, I don't see why I should keep talking. I mean, I like to do things. What's this about going talking to people? I don't. Okay, but your situational judgment is very good. Like, you can understand if there are two people, or when to approach your parents or your teachers for anything. Yes, I know. Whenever I decide to talk, whatever I want happens. The child is telling me. Okay, so very good, very good. So why don't you want to talk? No answer. So, okay, numerical ability is quite, you're good with maths, though. Yes, so that's also okay. I'm good with maths, but maths is not what I want to do. Okay, that also is coming out. You're nearly the same as an average person in maths. Okay. Again, you can see comprehension and proficiency score very low. What happened? I don't really enjoy talking. My mother keeps saying you should talk to people, you should mix around. I don't enjoy it. I find it. I mean that how kids talk, right? So then it became okay, but your logical thinking is pretty good. You are able to understand things. Yes, I understand. I enjoy looking at puzzles. I enjoy doing this. You don't talk, but your self-esteem is good. So he said, yes, I don't talk, but it's not that I cannot talk. So I said, okay, so that child has that much of sense also that, it's not like that. You love learning. Yes, I love it. So he then starts saying, I actually, I learned that CAD, which is that computer aided design from that architect by myself. He showed me some stuff and then I learned it myself. Very good. So team management, you enjoy, you're able to get people to follow you. Yes, in school, if I want to get something done, if I got a project and all, I used to handle the team. And we did also a good job. You're resourceful. Yes, if there's a problem, I will think across it. And that's what is coming out. You can see how much better he is at these factors. Team management, resourcefulness. Okay. Decision making, he's average, but his innovation is very high. Creativity is very high. Okay. And even he's pretty good with handling conflict. So a typical managerial profile. What do you think? Doesn't it come out like that? Somebody who's fairly good at logical thinking, numeracy, negotiation, handling conflict, but really good at team management skills, the right attitude to, innovate, create. Okay, so he's quite open. He can adjust well in new environments. So maybe that is one thing which came out also saying I want to travel, etc. And vision approach. He actually is thinking 2-3 steps down the line. He is not only thinking, let me pass my 10th class, let me pass my 12th class. He's also pretty good at morality and aggression quotient. He's not too big at aggression. If people who are too aggressive are the guys who cause trouble in the workplace. They get into fights. So he's not that type of a person. And he's also emotionally quite stable. So if somebody gives him a feedback and that's a negative feedback, he's not going to come crying home. Oh, this guy said, my teacher said, and all that. Just hold on 1 minute. Hello. Sorry. So this is the type of mental image which came. Now, what is the image which is coming in your mind of this guy? Anybody wants to share?
I can talk, Subhashini, if that's okay.
Okay, you're getting this guy, right? He's young, he's a slim boy, ready to take on the world, curious, creative, pretty good at maths, logical thinking, also good at taking teams around, but really doesn't enjoy communicating. Okay, until he's doing it for a particular purpose. So if it's purposeful, he's happy to communicate, but doesn't want to spend his time just uselessly communicating. Okay, is also very sure of what he wants to do. So in this situation, what happened that we went on to the next section, which is that which are his preferred industries. So don't look at the recommended industries. Let's keep our eyes here, preferred industries. What does he want to do? Where does he want to go? So here you will notice he has put down IT, software, software services, advertising, PR. So this is creative, right? IT, software, technology, banking, financial services, numbers, logical thinking. Okay. Defense and government, again going back to his his point was you can really lead large teams and take on and do a lot of you can make an impact in society. And then he's put down architecture and interior designing. So these are the places where he thinks he wants to work. And something pretty similar came out in the preferred industries here, saying that the system has also said that, we would do well with government and admin, hospitality, tourism, technology, art and communication, and engineering. So there is a fair amount of resonance, which is rare. Okay, I want to point this out because most children, sometimes, at least for 50% cases, somebody's got a sound on. Will they put themselves on mute, please? So you'll notice that the preferred industry, often may have only 20-30% overlap with the recommended industry, because their preferences are often shaped by what they find romantic to work in. Okay, or my brother, my cousin is working there, type of thing. This child has a huge clarity that way. His core stream therefore has come out as engineering, while his secondary stream came out as computer science and engineering. So definitely coming out that he will end up doing something related to coding, computers and the like. Okay. So this is the choice of streams which he can pursue, because all of them would mean, especially when you look at designing in architecture, etc., it's completely computer driven now. The day is gone when you did hand driven drawings and stuff, So this was what came out. Now, of course, this is things you might want to read for your own self before you start taking on counseling. Okay, like what do each of these traits mean? Or if the parent asks you, you can always tell them, why don't you look down here? You'll be able to make out what is the difference between each of these parts. Okay, I'm just pointing out the part of the reports for you so that you realize that you're not alone in a counseling. Even if you're doing it by yourself, there's definitely enough help here. Okay, is this making sense? Is it giving you a mental image of how the counseling would have happened? Okay. So then came the question answer. So what do you want to ask? So the parents had this question, started with this architecture thing, that what type, he likes to handle large teams, but most smaller architects don't have large teams. So then I showed them the project. You've seen that in Dubai, they are making the NEOM project, which is going to be a glass, building which is going to stretch across miles, and they're going to have it as residential. It will reflect the desert. It will be made of glass, so you get a feeling you can't even see it. And inside it's fully air conditioned. Inside they have trains, railways, and all. So I gave him some examples that when you look at architecture, you're not talking only of making houses. You're also talking about making large infrastructure, railroads, factories, with Factory 4.0 and all that, with Internet of Things. So you have a lot of scope even there, making automated factories and the like. Then he was like, okay, yes, his parents were like, yeah, we'll look that through. So what should we do? We've already made him, enroll for the JEE exam. What else can we do? So there is a NATA exam, which I think it's called NATA, which is for the aptitude test for architecture. Okay, so I told them that maybe you can just look up. There are some exams here which you can do for getting into architectural courses. Okay, so then the question became, if he gets through both the courses, JEE also and architecture also, what should we do? I'm just minimizing my video because my internet seems again to be blipping. So then I told them that, see, if you are doing both of it, then you might, and you don't have it. So what do you want to do? What does the child want to do? So it's called the NATA entrance exam. Okay. So I just checked it online. It's one of the benefits of online counseling, you can just quickly check something if you don't remember it. So I was just asking them that, which is your preference? So the parent said that, see, I would like him to look at engineering, but if he gets into architecture and the type of architecture that you are saying, which is large projects and all that, that's also a good field. It's going to only increase. Yes, it's only going to increase. So, okay, so then maybe we can see where he scores better. In JEE exams, does he get a better ranking college, or in the NATA exam, he gets a better ranking college? Then I can decide on that. So I said, yeah, that's also a good way to go. So that was how the counseling concluded. That they were able to walk away with this confirmation that they have targeted the right field for him by prompting him to get into engineering, and the second was that these are one or two additional things they can look for him, and allow him to take those exams. So with this, I'll stop and ask you for your questions.
Thank you, Subhashini. I had a couple of questions.
Yes.
From the, I mean, I'll come to the counseling questions a little later, but from the test, I had a couple of questions. One is when you showed me the communication and things like that, is the test catering to the English part of it? Because you also mentioned that the confidence and the speech levels were limited. So what exactly is done during the communication test? Like, are they asked to talk, or it is just the MCQs that you've given, in a general test standpoint? Like, I would like to understand a bit there. Yeah.
So the tests are completely multiple choice questions. Okay. But a lot of them are scenario based questions. So if there are 3 words, which will you choose? What will you not choose? So in that, it came out that because as I told you, I have already spoken to the child, right? He was able to communicate in English. He didn't, but why did he not do well in that English, which I pointed out also? See, even in IIT JEE, you have to at least score well. It came from a contempt to language. It's not something he was bothered about. So he just sort of went through that part of it. So he has the ability. He knows he has to, but he's so concentrated on getting his science and maths and numeracy on that he didn't pay attention to English as a language in the test. The second thing came out that he did well with team management, etc., because those were new type of questions. He had never seen questions which were psychometric profiling questions, right? So he was engaged as a young adult. He was engaged in that taking that test.
Got it. Understood. Because consistently in terms of communicating to others, right? Or at least sharing ideas. I'm taking it as like sharing his thoughts, right?
Yes,
That's not something that has interested this student.
yes,
And also that if you look at it, he wants to be more independent in doing things.
yeah,
So even though he's scoring strongly in terms of trying to lead a project or
project,
whatever
yeah,
he's been constructing and everything, I think the style of, so when you said it's more like a managerial profile,
yeah,
I was looking at this child would be a little introvert, because his technical ability is what he's focusing on, right? Like his
yes,
thoughts are to improve on his technical abilities.
yeah,
um and even if he's like managerial, but I would kind of, I mean, we can agree to disagree, but
yeah, yeah,
kind of think he's very directional in terms of even manager,
yeah.
right? Because he wouldn't be a team player. I mean, as of from the profile currently, that looks like, he wouldn't be enjoying
He
being
will
part.
only play the team if they are all looking at fulfilling a project. So if he has to
Correct.
make a website and suppose he has to do this part and interact with the backend developer, he's ready to do that, which
Got
will
it.
give him that direction. But he doesn't want to become manager of a team where he's not doing
Correct.
subject matter expertise. He's
Right. That
got
is that
nothing
is
but to manage.
clearly,
Yeah.
it's clearly coming out that way, right?
Yeah. He's
Saying,
clearly coming out.
correct. So the technical skills and the we say like an individual contributor versus a manager. I mean, coming from HR background, he looks more like an IC individual
Yes.
contributor, more technically very strong, like an architect, right?
Yes,
Basically, yes.
like his his motivation also came what? Service excellence, right? So
Service.
if he doesn't get to show service excellence personally, he's not going to like that role.
Absolutely. I think it's that way it's coming out very clearly. And then, like you said, if the parents are agreeing and he's shown examples and instances around that, it
Yeah.
looks like a clear case on how, the projection goes. My other questions on this piece of counseling is, while you've given that, it's very logical in terms of how you've driven them towards an engineering versus architecture. But do you also help them saying these are your top colleges and this is how the career looks like? I mean, what extent of guidance do we get into, Subhashini?
So, see, like it depends on the parent. Okay, if they ask me, I tell them that, see, off the hand, I may not know this area. Like I knew there's an architectural test, but I didn't remember it. So at that time, I told them, there's an architectural test. Give me 2 minutes, I'll Google it and tell it to you. So just because I knew that there was an option, but I obviously, because it's not something which will come up to my mind, I told them the test name. Now suppose they had already taken the test, and if somebody came and asked me, now I have this college versus this college, Okay, then I would have asked them for, that give me some time and let me form my opinion and get back to you. Okay,
Got it. Just
so
a thought around the product, Subhashini, because we are anyway kind of giving guidance on the role and the industry. Do
yeah,
you think we can put up in the result itself saying, hey, at least at top two, and pick that industry and say, this is India, procedure. Like if you are looking at an architecture, generally you can just put up a small thing about saying in India, these are the top colleges, this is the process that you can get into architecture. I'm just asking because it's very easy as a counselor
huh.
for me to, go through this and say, hey, the report also gives you a guidance of how do you approach this career, forward.
Yeah, so surely, this is a good thought, and we were thinking how we'll do it, no? Was that because we don't know what the child can do. Sometimes they come from a background. This kid came from a background where if you gave the suggestion, his parents were
Mm.
ready to support him. Sometimes they come
Mm.
from a background, and I'll show you one engineering college student I had done local language. So I mean, they of course understand English, but his preference was Hindi, and he wanted to talk in Hindi. And his questions were not related to, I mean, it was more related to in this area where I can go. Okay. So
Mm.
sometimes the variation in question becomes so much that what we thought is we can start creating some blog articles. Okay, which for different types of roles, like the common roles in banks, the common roles, or like you said, the common technical tests in India. So what it can do is it will allow us to go there and quickly search within that context itself, or give the link also. See, we can share our screen and say, see, this is what it is, and these are some infos. You want to read it? This is a reference thing. So we have been thinking about it, Rekha, and I think we will put it into play because what you're saying is right. It is, I think that's a very valid suggestion. But as I said, I think it's better to make the repository. And when you as a counselor start talking, you will figure out what is it that that child or the college or etc. help with.
Correct. Yeah. I'm sure there are
So
multiple dynamics. Sometimes parents don't agree. They're like, no, we want him to do this only. And that is like in the family, so that is
Yeah. So in fact, even entrepreneurship, there have been times. And we tell them, even if you want to be an entrepreneur, if it's coming out, you'll do amazing in marketing, but you might need in your team somebody strong in finance to support you. Like that, we put it. Because yes, you have to read the room, you know. That's where your personal skill as a counselor will come. Yes.
right.
sorry,
Thank
I
you.
was away for a couple of minutes, so
And
I
no problem.
missed
We are anyway
part of the
recording
discussion.
this. In fact,
Yeah.
once we finish this case study, I'll stop the recording and we'll re-log in so that the next case study can be recorded as a separate one.
Okay. I had just one, maybe a clarification than a question. So
Yes.
during counseling, after we have, got this, okay, these are the areas, or this is the, whether being into engineering or computer science, or being architect, once that has been shortlisted,
Yeah.
can we also go back and ask the parents and the student to go and check what colleges and where they want to get into? Because we have given you this. Now you check which are the colleges. Can we
Yes,
give
of
that
course we
option?
can.
Yeah,
We can
because
because
sometimes, yeah,
there are so many constraints, Once you start the
mm,
discussion, you realize some parents have a constraint of location, especially for girls, they don't
correct.
want them to exit the state or don't go, like you might suggest that, yeah, go to Delhi University, but they are like, we are not okay with leaving the state. Or you might want to say, these are the top colleges. Pune has got a very good college, and they'll be like, we're not okay with that. So I've noticed even this, that, sometimes it's not, you have to see what they might be okay with.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
can give that choice.
Yeah,
It's not that,
absolutely. Please do.
yeah.
In fact,
All
why
right.
not? Hmm.
Okay, Subhashini.
And the next case that we are going to do, that is something for we are done for this NGO called Innovation Nest for some kids in Chennai, and they had taken the test in Tamil. So if we have no questions here, can I stop this and we'll all re-log in and record the next case study separately. Okay,
Sure. Yeah.
right. Same link, huh?